bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Fiend Podcast with your hosts, Zay, Young Vander, and Bro Joe.
Welcome back to the best fantasy football podcast on the air, the Fantasy Football Fiend Podcast, presented to you by Manscaped. I'm your Jose, the Fantasy Football Fiend himself. I got my bros with me, the Fantasy Phenom, Young Vander. Holla at the people.
Fantasy Fiends, what's going on out there?
And we got a new face in the place, the commiss, Razor Ron. Holla at the Fiends.
Fantasy Football Fiend, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait to get it started.
Yo, week 7 is here. We have bye weeks. We got injuries. We have waiver pickups. We're going to make sure we get you through it all. Make sure that our listeners, you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Fantasy Football Fiend. That's FEIN. We got a great show for you today. News and notes, rapid fire 10, your weekly matchups, best DFS plays, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to go ahead and get the party started with your news.
And now your fantasy news.
All right, so we having some quarterback issues here. Deshaun Watson, I thought maybe out for about a week. He's still not back at practice yet, and they're saying they're not even putting a timeline on his return. So it's looking like PJ Walker may be back in the saddle again this week. What's going on with Watson? Is this a case of no matter what you think about me, I got 230 million reasons not to go out there and lay an egg because I know how y'all going to talk about me the way y'all talked about Baker? Or is he actually not able to go? I mean, like, this is kind of weird. It didn't seem like he had that bad of an injury, but we saw what the shoulder did to Anthony Richardson. He's out for the rest of the year. So how y'all feeling about this Watson situation?
I don't know. I think it's maybe the team that's protecting him, right? Like you said, that 250 million is guaranteed. So it doesn't matter if he goes out there and stink it up, or he goes out there and play well, he's going to get paid regardless. So maybe the organization is just protecting their own investment at this point and say, hey, if you ain't right, then we're not going to push you out there until you're comfortable with going out there and play. So who knows how
the only pushback I'll give you on that, the coach, his first week out, and this is kind of weird in of itself. The first week he was out, the coach was like, well, the medical staff cleared him to play. Now, 3 weeks later, he's still out. So is the medical staff inept as well? Or what you got going on with this one, Ron?
Might be another Kawhi Leonard situation in basketball where the medical staff say, hey, get out there. But Deshaun may feel like, hey, I know my body more than you. Like, you can clear me to go out there. But if I'm already facing scrutiny about not, when I'm perceived healthy, not playing well, I don't think I can go out there to my fullest potential. So it may be a situation like that because it was kind of shocking that he didn't suit up last game when the coach did say, hey, the medical staff cleared him. And usually when you say stuff like that in the public, like it bothers the coach. Right. Any other time it'd be stayed in house. So I think it may be that. I think it may be the team that think he can go. And like I said, Kawhi in the situation, I'm not about to risk myself, even though I got the 250. I'm already facing scrutiny. So
we got a little bit of a situation going on with Trevor Lawrence. I say that because the original line in Vegas was 42.5 on the over-under. Now they've dropped it to 39.5, which tells me either they feel like he's not going to be 100%, or he might not be the guy behind center on Thursday evening. He's dealing with a bit of a knee issue from this past game. I want to say it was towards the end of the game that he kind of got nicked up a little bit. Right now, C.J. Beathard would be the man under center if Lawrence can't go. Opposite of Watson, he was basically saying, hey, I'm going to work through this. We're going to, make it shake. But he may be being told to sit down versus saying, hey, I can't go. So how we feel about the Lawrence situation? Do y'all actually think he's going to end up going? What you got on this, man?
No, I don't think he's going to play. I think they just activated a guy off the practice squad.
They did, yeah.
Once you start seeing that, then that's, pretty much a telltale sign that the guy's not going to go. It is a short week, right? So it's Thursday. I think if this was a Sunday game, he probably would play. But being as a Thursday game, it's a short week. They're probably going to sit him out. If I'm not mistaken, they're like 2 weeks away from a bye. So I think they have an additional week, then a bye week. So I think they're going to sit him this game, and C.J. Beathard will probably be the starter Thursday night.
Another guy that ended up hurt this past week, Ron, Jimmy Garoppolo ended up in the hospital. They took him to the local hospital from the game. He had a back issue going on, not known whether or not he's going to go. He did sit out of practice today, but they aren't really saying one way or the other. What's your thoughts on Jimmy G? Do you think he'll end up going this week, or is it likely that you might need to pivot if this is a guy that you would depend on?
I mean, I would pivot, especially if you're in like in a deeper league or so. Like you may have a guy like CJ Beathard that maybe you picked up off waivers or something that may be going tomorrow. I don't. I would start CJ Beathard if that was the case because if you don't have any options, because when it comes to the back, it's tricky. Like we all know that when back injuries come, completely healthy guys can say, "Hey, my back is injured," just because you can't gauge what the interest is on the back. I mean, the injury is on the back, and the fact that he sat out practice today. I don't think he's going to go. That's not a good sign. If it was maybe a toe or something like that, to where because he's not extremely mobile, that he probably can get through with a little light ankle sprain or something. But a back injury and he didn't practice today, I would lean towards he's not playing.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think they go with the rookie Aiden, or do you think they end up going Brian Hoyer's way if he can't go?
I think they go Hoyer because if they went with Hoyer when he got injured, I think they would go back with Hoyer again. I think you've seen what Aiden O'Connell is. I think he may have a future there. I don't think it's right now. I think watching the last game that they played that he started, it didn't look too well. And I felt like they could have probably done better or win that game. I can't remember if they won or lost. I want to say they lost that game.
They lost,
yeah. I kind of feel like if Jimmy G was there, they would have won that game. So I don't think he's ready. I think Hoyer gives you the best chance to win and gives you the best chance if you have Devontae or Jacoby Myers or anyone else, any of those pass catches. I think Hoyer gives you the best value with that.
Two more pieces of quarterback news to get through. Daniel Jones looks like he may suit up this Sunday. He has gotten in a limited practice on today, so it's looking like he's going to be out there versus Tyrod Taylor being out there. So, that's one piece of news. The other piece of news that we have is Kyler Murray has entered his 21-day evaluation window, which is to say that it's likely that he'll be coming off of that PUP list and he'll be available for the Cardinals. As far as Murray is concerned, I guess it's twofold. If they put him out there, is this their way of saying that this is their guy? Because I know if he goes in the next year hurt, they owe him a large deal of money. And also they're probably more likely to be able to get his replacement that they would want if he didn't play and they let Dobbs or Toon, the rookie, go out there versus let Murray go out there, which is a little bit better than the two of them. So how are we feeling about this Murray situation? How are you feeling about the Jones situation, Van?
Well, as far as the Cardinals go, I mean, they're pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place. They already invested. So, I mean, what you going to do? You already put all this money into this guy. You got to play him if he's ready and he's available. But as far as a fantasy implication, I'm not sure how big of an effect he's going to have because he's a mobile quarterback. He's come back off a leg injury, correct? So we don't
MCL, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, so if you take the legs away from Kyler Murray, how valuable is he? To me, I don't think that valuable in this offense. This is a new offense than the one he's accustomed to, that was pretty much built for him. So they pretty much stuck. At this point, they got to play what they got. Use their cards. If he go out there and get hurt again, then what are you gonna do? The guaranteed is the guaranteed, and that's usually the first 3 years of a contract. So I think they have no choice but to play him. As far as Daniel Jones, I mean, I think he's ready. He says he's ready. He's gonna play. He's a guy that also likes to run. So I think the re-injury button, what I'm saying, can very easily be pressed there. So I would kind of, expectations kind of taper him a little bit. But you got to play him if you have, especially in a 2-quarterback league, you're probably going to be forced to play him.
Yeah, I would hold on to Tyrod if you do have a 2-quarterback league and you're desperate at quarterback or don't have any additional backups because, that running the ball is how you got. And the worst part about it is actually similar to what you were saying about Murray. If you take away his legs, what are you really left with? I mean, he's not really that great of a thrower of the ball. The other thing with Murray, too, his stature is pretty much. I want to say he's not the smallest anymore. I think Bryce Young may be the smallest, but if you can't run away from people like you used to before, I don't know if he gonna stay healthy, bro. Like you said, he's coming off of an MCL. Like I don't know. I think these first few weeks back are going to be kind of telling as far as what we'll see from him going forward in general. But what you got on those guys, Ryan?
And real quick though,
Oh, go ahead, man.
real quick, it's not really the thing of him being able to run. I'm pretty sure he's physically able because he's cleared, but it's the mental thing. Like a lot of guys come with these injuries. Can I use his leg? Can I cut?
Gunshot.
Like that, you know what I'm saying? So they don't quite trust the legs yet. And that's why you see a lot of guys like the Brees Halls, like the Cam Akers of the world, like the Javonte Williams. It usually take a few weeks for them to kind of ramp up and get the whole trust level thing before you start seeing them show signs of old. So I think
but you can't put a quarterback on a pitch count the way they did, like with Hall and a lot of the running backs. Like they were like, all right, you're gonna get this many carries and you out of here. With a quarterback, like anytime that defensive end come after you, you got to take off.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He may be more inclined to take the sack versus trying to juke or cut out of the way or something like that. So
So you saying whoever is going against Arizona, you might want to stream their defense. That's basically what you're saying when you get back in there.
Defense, yeah, if it's a decent defense, for sure.
Gotcha. What's your thoughts on them, Ron?
I think they kind of part of me saying they set them up for failure a little bit because usually when you activate somebody off the practice window, they usually don't. From my knowledge, they usually don't practice the first day. Usually, they kind of let you do some stuff on the side, get you in or whatever, and then they say you have until 21 days. When you practice on that first day, like a lot of things or people on Twitter, analysts saying that he may play next week or whatever, and I just think coming off the ACL, I don't think that's the right thing to do. But I think the organization looking at it as, hey, we're gonna send him out there. We already paid him. Like, what can we lose? If he happens to go out there and get hurt again, even though I think they're not trying to say that, anticipate that, then they may looking at it a draft position aspect. If he's gone Dobbs, the little fantasy thing off Dobbs to me kind of wore off a little bit. He's been kind of like tailing down ever since like that first 1 or 2 decent games that he had. So I think they kind of set him up for failure. I hope not, because like Barry said, a lot of people, it's not the actual injury. Like this is, back in the day, you get an ACL injury, you're done for the entire year. Now you come back 9 months, but it's the mental thing. Like, if I cut again, am I going to hurt myself or whatever? So I think it's just a big mess. You can't blame Cliff Kingsbury this time if it doesn't work though. So that's a big thing. And for Daniel Jones, it's pretty much the same way. His legs are super valuable. And I think he watched them play Sunday and was like, hey, if it wasn't for maybe a gaff before the half and we kick a field goal, like maybe you might be taking my job. I'm glad I got the money already. So I think he's going to push to get back out there because I watched him on the sideline and like, oh, I wish I was in there, looking like he was eager to get in there, but I don't. Hey, like you said, you take his legs away. What is he also? So, but if he suits up, especially a 2 quarterback league, you definitely start him. 1 quarterback league, if with his upside with the running, I start him also unless you have one of those other top tier quarterback.
We got a few pieces of news in as far as running backs are concerned. Samaje Perine, not on the injury report. He had a leg and knee issue, but it's looking like he's going to be good to go. Jeff Wilson opens up the week with the full practice, so he may be ready to roll. He had a rib and a finger injury that he was trying to work himself through. And I know Miami will, love to get him back with A-Chain being out, who was a fantasy phenom for a few weeks there. Caught a lot of people by surprise. Didn't catch us by surprise. If you were watching or listening to the show, we told you to run and go get him before it was going to cost you anything. Ronnie Rivers, as well as Kyron Williams, both of LA, they're both hurt. Rivers is going on IR. Williams isn't going on IR, so it's looking like they feel he's going to be ready within a few weeks. He won't hit that 4th game, so it's looking like they think he'll need 2 or 3 weeks out. Now, my question to you guys is, as far as the Rams backfield is concerned, you saw that they made a move and they went and picked up Henderson, who used to be there. Now they have the rookie Zach Evans there. They also have Royce Freeman. of the three, Henderson is actually the most familiar with the offense, although he got booted off the team. They probably are kind of wishing they hadn't sent Cam Akers on up the road a few weeks ago at this point with all the running back injuries. But how do we feel this backfield is going to end up working out either this week or over the next couple of weeks? What you got on that, Ryan?
I think you go with the guy who was on the team earlier before, like Henderson and the other guys that they brought in there. Because if you take a look at what McVay has done, of course, we can exclude Todd Gurley because before he got injured, he was all-world running back. Right. But if you even take a look to like even before last year, before Akers got hurt, remember he got the last like 6 games. They loaded him up with like 20 plus carries close to that game. Like he was the lead dog. And then once Williams became the alpha, he got the majority of the carry. So I think even though Henderson and everyone else is got signed there, I think you go with Evans. Evans, the guy that was there, and I think that's the guy who McVay trusts. So I think he'll get the boat load. So I would start Evans.
You feel the same way, Vander?
Well, I think Evans gonna get the first crack at it. But if he doesn't go out there and do anything, he'll make a switch quick. So I do agree with what Ron says as far as McVay. He tends to like bell cow it. He don't really do a whole bunch of committed style running backs. But I think Evans get the first crack at it. I mean, luckily for him, this is not a good run defense in Pittsburgh. So
true,
he may be able to capitalize off that. But when he did get in the game last week, he didn't look too good. So let's see how he looks, and if not, also pay attention. Let's see if Henderson get activated before Sunday. So if he gets activated before Sunday, then that'll be kind of scary. You know what I'm saying? So kind of temper your expectations on Evans on lasting the whole game. He may start it, but he may not finish it.
So at that point, then would you just pivot away from the backfield in general, not knowing what's going to happen that first week, and then maybe based on what happens, you play accordingly the following week? Or would you still have faith enough in Evans that due to the opponent that he's going against, he shouldn't do too bad enough to get yanked?
Look, man, if you're in a fantasy league, I would pivot. But if you're playing DFS, I mean, play him. He's only $4,800 on FanDuel. So I'm going to play Evans at $4,800, just roll the dice and see what happens. But if you're in a fantasy league, you may want to see if you can find a replacement.
I think if what Barry said earlier, if Henderson is called up, I think I steer away from the situation completely. But if he's not called up right now, I think I may roll dice with him in DFS and fantasy. But if he's called up, Henderson's called up, I'm not touching him at all in a fantasy league. DFS, yeah, I'll take for the cost savings. I'm definitely playing him in DFS.
Makes sense. Let's get into this Detroit backfield. We have a plethora of injuries going on here. David Montgomery is already out. He won't be going this week. He has that rib injury. Jamar Gibbs is trying to come back from a hamstring injury. And now it's noted that Craig Reynolds is dealing with a hamstring injury. So I don't know what's going to happen in Detroit. I don't know that Gibbs coming off of injury is going to be prepared to be able to do what they haven't asked him to do all season when he was healthy, which is shoulder to load. So is this one of those tricky weeks for a Detroit offense where it may be even more pass heavy based on there not really being a whole lot there in the backfield? And for that matter, if Gibbs is the only healthy running back, he's more of a threat in the pass game than he is in the run game. So how are we feeling about this backfield this week, Vander?
Man, you said it. I think this is going to be one of those situations where they're going to pass the ball a lot. Because, I mean, we've seen Gibbs play when Montgomery is out. So we've seen Gibbs as the lead dog and really not much going on the ground. Like you say, he's more of a pass catcher. Reynolds got the opportunity last week. Didn't do much on the ground. I think he had like 10 carries for like 15 yards or something. So
yeah, it was horrible.
So I think this would be one of those situations where they do, step back and throw the ball around a lot more this game. So if Gibbs does play, I mean, in a standard league, I'm not a fan of him. In a PPR league, then I would give it a go just because of the pass catching capabilities.
To round out the running backs here, Ron, we have Saquon Barkley. I don't know if you guys had a chance to actually watch that game, but when he was running, straightforward north and south, good to go. When he had to pivot or when he had to try to, make a move, especially going to that right side, making a cut to the right, did not work out very well. So do we feel like Saquon is, back to status quo, or is he, one cut away from being injured again?
I think if you got Saquon, you got to play him. You pretty much spent a nice draft pick on him, unless you did some wonderful trades or caught some or did it went running back heavy in the draft. I think you got to play him. He did. I agree with you. He looked kind of timid coming back, but that was his first game back. But towards the fourth quarter, kind of seemed like he ripped off like 2 or 3 decent runs. You're like, okay, that's the Saquon I was looking for. Like if he's on my team, I'm playing him because, like I said, I spent that draft pick on him, and I think he kind of eased in a little bit more as the game went on. I think he kind of eased in a little bit more, being that was his first game back.
Let's go on over to wide receivers. Got Tyler Lockett tended to a hamstring injury. DK Metcalf didn't practice due to ribs and a hip issue that he has going on. So they have a lot going on with their wide receivers there in Seattle. Devontae Adams was limited at practice due to a shoulder, but he looks to be fine for the week. Deontay Johnson logs a full practice, so it looks like he's going to be back this week for Pittsburgh. Hopefully that'll kind of help them out with their offense. Pittsburgh is kind of one of those teams that, in my humble opinion, at this point, that's kind of loyal to a fault. Most teams would have fired their OC by now, but Tomlin seems to be, well, I'm assuming is his decision, but he seems to be sticking with Matt Canada, although it seems like everyone who watches football can see that they'd be much better off without him. Do we see any effects as far as Seattle is concerned, as far as Vegas is concerned, and as far as Pitt is concerned with any of these wide receivers, or it's just going to kind of be status quo and you start them as you normally would? What you got on that, Vander?
No, like you said, man, just start these guys. I mean, at this point, man, you're liable to see anybody on a questionable. You know what I'm saying? But none of these guys are, going to miss this week's game. So you just start them as usual.
We got Devontae Smith dealing with the hamstring injury. He's been kind of quiet the last couple of weeks. This injury is something that's kind of been hampering him just a little bit. And also, we have Julio Jones that just joined the Philadelphia wide receiving corps. Not sure if that's due to a little bit of what's going on with Smith, or they just needed a Quez Watkins replacement. But how do we feel about this wide receiving corps in Philly? And specifically, are we trusting Smith this week? What you got on that, Ron?
The only person I'm trusting from Philly's wide receiving corps is A.J. Brown right now. I know Devontae turned out a pretty nice couple of years being that he's been in the league, but new coordinator this year, hampered and also hindered with the injury because he wasn't putting up spectacular numbers before the injury, before the hamstring. So A.J. Brown was pretty much the only person I'm trusting in that back. I mean, not in the wide receiving corps right now. I think the Julio sign is a Quez Watkins replacement, but how much will he play this week? If you're looking for a dart in DFS, maybe play with Zacchaeus or the other guys that's in there, because I'm pretty sure he's cheap. But in fantasy leagues, I'm not trusting any wide receiver from the Eagles if his name is not A.J. Brown.
Last piece of wide receiver news before we hop into Rapid Fire 10, we have Mecole Hardman Jr., who was let go by Kansas City, went over to the Jets. Now the Jets go ahead and trade him back to Kansas City for a swap of late round picks. I believe Kansas City gave up a 2024 6 and it was a 2025 7th is what the Jets, and along with Hartman, sent over there to Kansas City for that 2025 6th-round pick. So, I mean, Ron, I know, Kansas City is your squad, and Mecole Hardman was there before. Do we think he has a significant role, or is it just due to the fact that there weren't any other wide receivers that were really trusted outside of the rookie Rice at this point? And then obviously we know what we have in the tight end there with Kelsey. But do you think that Mecole's going to come in and have an immediate role? And is it going to be significant fantasy-wise, or is it going to be more so significant NFL-wise?
I think it's more significant NFL wise. I think what you're going to get out of McColl is what you've been getting out of him in the history. If you could take a look at the history of what he did in the years prior, I think you can pretty much expect that. I wouldn't expect he's going to have certain games where, I mean, one game he had 3 touchdowns and all of them was like 2 yards because of the little pitch pass or whatever it is. And like he does the jet sweeps and things like that real nice. But I think honestly, it opens it up more for the rest of the Chiefs players. So it's fantasy wise. Because we lost our deep threat in Watson. And so he's going to be the one to get vertical now that can threaten the defense. So it may open it up a little bit more, if it sounds crazy, a little bit more for Travis Kelce, maybe a little bit more for Rashee Rice. And honestly, maybe for Kadarius Toney, because I've never seen him. He kind of was the guy that replaced McColl as the jet sweep guy and stuff, but he didn't look comfortable doing that at all. Like, so he maybe can go back to just old fashioned, just run a route, do something to get you in space that way. So I think his more in NFL, it makes more for the Chiefs and fantasy wise. It may help the rest of the receivers around them. Just expect, 1 week you may get 15, 1 or 2 weeks out of you get 15 out of McColl, and then 3 for the rest of the weeks, depending on your scoring. So I don't think it's huge significantly fantasy wise.
He reminds me a lot of Marvin Jones from Detroit. Like, he's going to have 3 games a year where you're going to be like, oh my God, he's the star. And the rest of the year, you get nothing. But it's significant for the team, though. But that pretty much wraps up the news. Let's go ahead and get into Rapid Fire 10.
All right, man, we got this Rapid Fire 10. It's Rapid Fire 10. We got 10 quick questions. We need 10 quick answers. Who do I start? Let's get right into it. All right. We're going with Desmond Riddler or Kenny Pickett.
Oh man, we jumping right into the deep, huh? You know what? I'm gonna let Ron go ahead and start us out. Who you got, Ron?
All right. Who does Ritter have this week? Who did Ritter and Pickett have this week?
Tampa Bay, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And Pickett, who does Pickett have?
The Rams.
I'm gonna go with Pickett. You start Kenny Pickett this week. Like I said, he got Deontay Johnson back. Even though 3 of us combined had the same amount of touchdowns he had last year, he still gives him another viable weapon outside over there. And I think he has a nice, decent connection with Pickens now that Johnson is back, kind of opened up a little bit more. Desmond Ritter, I don't understand, has weapons. Pitts, even though they get more involved, Pitts, Ritter, London, Bijan. I think the offense should be further along. So I'm going to go with Pickett. Even though the Steelers offense is struggling, I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett.
I'm going to go with Pickett by default. I'm hoping Ritter keeps his job through this game. I don't think he got but 1 or 2 more interceptions to throw before the coach is just going to be like, Heineke, go ahead and get out there. So, I'm going to go ahead and roll with Pickett. I know it's his job to have, barring injury.
All right. We got, this is bad. We got Mac Jones or Gardner Minshew.
I'm going to roll with Gardner. I honestly, I mean, I'm a Patriots fan, but I for the sake of the listeners, I can't make a homer pick. So I got to go with Minshew. He has better weapons. He actually has the number 1 wide receiver. And how do the Patriots, I know this is 10 quick questions, 10 quick answers, but I'm going to take like 5 seconds to rant. How is your offense worse with an OC than it was with a DC as your OC? I don't understand. We averaging 11 points a game. Don't start anybody from the Patriots. Nobody. I'm done.
And for that simple fact, before this game, I scored 3 points in 2 games. Didn't score. I think he scored 17 last game. I think so. Yeah, I'm definitely going with Gardner Minshew. And Minshew in certain games have actually looked pretty good. He's protected more with Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss with the running game. So play action may be a little better thing there too. And like you said, Michael Pittman, those guys. I'm gonna go with Gardner Minshew. Stay away from the Patriots.
All right. So we got Zach Evans or Najee Harris.
Oh wow, how the mighty have fallen. Najee Harris or Evans, huh? the more I think about it, actually the better that question makes sense, because Warren is taking a lot of carries away from Pittsburgh. Never splits carries, but Warren is. I feel like Warren's about to take that job any day now. I'll put it like this: if Henderson is activated, I'm going Harris, because then I think it's going to be 3 running backs in that backfield getting, a couple carries here and there. If he isn't activated, I go Evans.
I'm gonna go Harris for the simple fact that, like you've spoken to earlier, Zay, the loyalty that they tend to, even though Warren has been taking some carries from him, and Warren has been looking like the better spry back. But we don't know what happened. Like Barry said earlier, like Evans didn't look that good in the time that he got in last game. At least we know with the Steelers, they're going to keep running the ball. He's going to get chances to run it, even if he is splitting. He's going to at least have the opportunity. So I'm going to go with Harris on that.
We got Jonathan Taylor or Jerome Ford.
JT Money all day.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor also.
He got Cleveland, by the way.
Cleveland due for a letdown. Vegas let them win last week against the 49ers. They ain't doing it twice.
All right. We got Isaiah Pacheco or Brian Robinson Jr.
I think I'm gonna roll with Pacheco. Washington goes up against the Giants. The Giants actually had their defense actually showed up against the Bills. That's another team that I don't think is going to play well 2 weeks in a row, but their defense actually showed up against the Bills. So I think I'm gonna go with Pacheco going up against the Chargers defense, which is, a little less than desired. So we'll go that direction.
I'm going Pacheco also. It's not a homer pick, I promise. I'm going with him because of not only that he's been shown that he's been getting more of the lion's share of the running back carries. I'm glad Andy Reid stopped splitting the running back carries out, and being that he's in a better offense playing against a terrible defense. So he may have a subpar game to where you only get 50, 60 total yards, but they may be in the red zone 4 or 5 times. He may get a 1 or 2 yard touchdown. So I'm going to go with Pacheco for the scoring opportunity.
All right, we got KJ Osborne or Jerry Jeudy.
Give me Osborne. I wouldn't pick Jeudy for nothing at all. Until he goes to another team, and then we can see whether or not it's the team or him. I have no use for Jerry Jeudy at all. Osborne, he's no world beater, but he can make your fantasy week with one play, basically, just one deep pass that Jefferson would have normally caught. May get him in the in the red zone. So I'm a roll with Osborne with that one.
Really, it's a rare time that I go with the less talented guy when I'm pretty much even, but I got to look at it as I got to go with Osborne because he's more opportunities allowed with Jefferson there. We've seen what Jerry Jeudy has done when it's his normal allotment, like Sutton is there, the regular other receivers are there, and Russell Wilson, I just don't trust him, so I trust Kirk Cousins more than Russ, so I'm going to go with Osborne.
Thanks.
All right, we got Rashee Rice or Michael Thomas.
Give me Rice. I'll take the young bull. I mean, I know everybody on the Kansas City offense can't score, but he's been actually a bright spot as far as the wide receiving core has been concerned. Michael Thomas, I'm just glad he stayed healthy, but it's looking like Olave and what's his name? Rashid, I think is the young guy's name.
Yeah.
I think the two of them are kind of taking over a little bit as far as New Orleans is concerned.
Yeah, once again, not a homer pick, but I'm going with Rashee Rice, just because for one, the matchup for sure, they're playing against one of the worst matchups, worst pass defense team in the league in the Chargers, and also Rashee Rice leads the Chiefs wide receivers wise in receptions, reception yards, and targets, and also tied with red zone targets with Travis Kelce. And he's only been on the field 38% of the play. So here in the practice, now they want to ramp up his workload. So I see his, even if it may not go to the moon, I see his trajectory going up. So I'm going to go with Rice.
Okay, Ryan, bringing the heat. I see you.
All right, we got DJ Moore or George Pickens.
More. Give me more of more. Like Pickens on another team, we'd be talking about Pickens the way we talking about some of these other young dudes, but Pickett is the reason why Pickens ain't.
I think the reason and also for this question is because he's going to be playing with a backup quarterback that no one has really seen yet.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Fields does have the luckily it wasn't broken, but he does have that hurt. I want to say it's a thumb or something with his hand going on. Ooh, I ain't think about that.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna still go with more because I think they'll do like a little bit more the screen game. They'll try to make it easy for the rookie. What's his name? Badgett, I believe it is.
Yeah.
But Pickett's been out there for 2 years and can't get it right. So I don't know. I'm a still roll with DJ Moore. I'll tell you this: no matter how bad Badgett is, he's probably had worse quarterbacks in Carolina. So he's shown that he can get it done with a bad quarterback. So
I'm going DJ Moore also. I think that is with the running back being down, Herbert being out, Fields being out. You look at it, him and Cole Kmet really are the only two passing really threats that you have, and Cole Kmet's more of like a red zone guy. So they may be down also, so they may be forced to throw. So I'm gonna go with DJ Moore on that.
Now we got Kyle Pitts or Luke Musgrave.
Musgrave with Green Bay is actually going against, as of today, the worst defense against tight ends,
Right.
which is Denver. So I'm gonna go with the numbers, and I'm gonna have to throw Musgrave out there.
Maybe drinking the Kool-Aid a little too much, but I'm gonna go with Pitts. Pitts showed some promise last week. I think they want to try to. I think like you hit a nice point, Zay, that Ritter may be feeling the seat heating up. So his best options is to get it to his playmaker. So Pitts looked pretty decent last week. So I'm gonna go with Pitts. It'll make it burn, but I'm gonna go with Pitts again.
The only reason I wouldn't do that is, for my money, Laporta is already a better option at tight end. I don't say the better tight end. I think that the offense with Detroit is predicated towards the tight end. And I can't remember the linebacker's name for Tampa Bay, but he shut him down. And I think Pitts is gonna get a mouthful of that. So what was it? Can't remember his name, but anyway, that's the only reason I'm saying again.
White.
Devin
Nah,
White
it's
or Levante David.
somebody else.
David
That's who it was.
Okay.
That's who it was. David. Every time Laporta came anywhere near the ball, Levante David was in his grill. So I think Pitts is gonna get a lot of that.
Okay, last but not least is a flex question. We got Puka Nacua or Kenneth Walker.
Give me Walker. Give me the guy that's more likely to get the touchdown since Kupp is back. Kupp is the target leader again. Now, unlike with other wide receivers, they're still keeping Nacua involved in the offense, but I don't know that he's more likely to get a touchdown than Walker is. So give me the guy that's going to most likely get the touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the running back also because especially when he's the lead running back, he's gonna get more opportunities. Kupp being back does also free up Nacua a little bit, so now that the defense may be rolled to Kupp, so he may have some opportunities there. But give me the guy who's for sure number one running back and is probably going to touch the ball 16, 17 times again for sure.
All right, so that concludes our rapid fire 10.
Rapid fire 10. All right, so let's hop right into these matchups. First, Thursday, we have Jacksonville going up against New Orleans. This game is now at a 39.5 point over under, and Jacksonville is getting 1 point in this game. So, Vander, what do you like? What don't you like? Who you leaning towards? Who you leaning away from?
I mean, considering the injury possibilities with the quarterback situation, you got to keep going with the hot hand. And that's in my guy ETN. Even though New Orleans is usually pretty good against the run, but I mean he's hot right now, so I just say go ETN. I mean, if a backup quarterback does play, then they may tend to lean on the run a lot more. So I'm gonna go with Travis Etienne. It's probably my favorite play from this game. As far as on the other side of the ball, you just have to play everybody as usual. The Camaras, the Olaves of the world. You just roll out everyone and just, that's it. Nothing special on that side.
We got Las Vegas going up against Chicago. I believe this is the lowest over under of the week at 37.5. And Chicago is getting 3 points. What we doing with this game, Ryan?
I'm definitely starting Josh Jacobs. his opposing matchup rush defense isn't like anything to run away from. Most likely going with a backup quarterback, so they may be leaning on the run also. You have Devontae. You always play Devontae if you have him. I don't care if one of us guys are the quarterback, you still play Devontae. So that's the person my must start of the week running back is Josh Jacobs. Him and Isaiah Pacheco once again out of home. But yeah, that's what that's what I'm going. That's pretty much for the Vegas side. That's what I'm rolling with.
We got Detroit going up against Baltimore. This is a 43-point over under, and Detroit is getting 3 points here. This kind of feels like one of those games that can kind of come down to the wire a little bit. I love Detroit's defense. I'm hoping the fact that they don't have the healthiest of options in the backfield doesn't come back to bite them. But for me, this is a start your studs type of a deal. On the Baltimore side of the ball, I don't know that I feel confident in anyone on the Baltimore side. The reason I say that is I think Jackson will get his, whatever that's going to look like. But as far as the wide receiver core, as far as the running backs, don't know who to trust. That can kind of switch up. Obviously, if you got Andrews, you start your stud as far as Andrews is concerned. But I wouldn't necessarily bank on Flowers putting up a touchdown again against this particular defense. Next up, we got Cleveland going up against Indy. This is a 40-point over under, and Indy is getting 2.5 points. What you got, Vander?
I'm not a fan of anybody on the Indianapolis Colts side. I mean, this if you look at statistically, this Cleveland Brown defense is putting up, historical numbers these first 6 weeks. One of the best defenses of all time as far as numbers go. So with that being said, and also with the Gardner Minshew at the helm, I'm not really a fan of Jonathan Taylor. I'm not a fan of Zach Moss. I'm not a fan of Michael Pittman. I say sit all these guys. And when we say sit these guys, if you don't have a better option, of course you don't want to sit them. But temper the expectations as far as what they're going to do as far as production. But I do like Jerome Ford this game. We did see Kareem Hunt seem like he was ramping up a little bit, getting a little more touches towards the end zone. But this is a leaky Colts defense that tend to give up a little bit on the ground. Ford has been getting his touches, and I like Ford to do well this game as well, especially if they're going to have P.J. Walker at the quarterback. Not really, big on Amari Cooper, any of those guys like that. So I like Jerome Ford this game for the Browns.
This one is a little bit embarrassing. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there anyway. We got Buffalo going up against New England. This is a 41-point over-under, and New England is getting the most points of any team this week. We're getting 9 points going up against Buffalo. So what we got on this one, Ron?
If I'm a gambling man, I'm taking the Buffalo with the points. I think they'll beat them at least by 10. I'm not starting anybody from the Patriots side as far as fantasy wise go. For the Buffalo side, I'm definitely starting Diggs, Josh Allen, and maybe Gabe Davis. You have Gabe Davis, start him also. But James Cook, it finally should be the week that he should at least get a touchdown. They may be playing with a lead. Well, not maybe. They will be playing with a lead, so they may be leading on the run. But the only thing that kind of scares me with that a little bit is that Latavius Murray and stuff starting to get like a little bit more carries, especially down in the red zone.
12 carries like last week.
Yeah, so I think you still have to start James Cook if you have him. And even if you have Latavius Murray in deeper league, start him too. Because I think they'll be up and playing with a lead, so they'll be running a lot.
We got Washington going up against the Giants. This is a 39-point over-under, and the Giants are getting 2.5 points. I don't really like anybody in this game. It's one of the lower over-unders. If you're in a 2 QB league, Superflex league, you got to start the QBs, but based on what the Giants were able to do on defense, I don't necessarily trust Brian Robinson Jr., but he's probably the one that I trust the most. Both passing games are kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Maybe in DFS, I throw Slayton out there. He tends to be the one receiver that does do well if a receiver is going to do well as far as the Giants are concerned. And I don't think that Saquon is going to fare well against the Washington defensive front. So honestly, if I can avoid this game between the matchup being what it is, we know that normally when you have divisional matchups, they can be a little bit lower scoring anyway. And what Vegas is telling us with a 39-point over under is that it is going to be lower scoring. So that's kind of where I am on this one. We got another divisional matchup. We got Atlanta going up against Tampa Bay, 37-point over under, and Atlanta's getting 2.5 points. What we got on this one, Vander?
One of my favorite plays from this game would be the Tampa Bay Bucks defense. That's probably the defense I'm going to be streaming DFS wise. I think it's on like 4,000. So I do like them. This game is going to be kind of ugly. Both defenses are pretty good as far as against the pass. Mike Evans been having a pretty good year, but Atlanta been not really give up a lot on the back end. Tampa Bay has been good against the run, so Atlanta's already splitting carries between Algier and Bijan. This is one of those flat games. I don't like the tight end Pitts and John New against these linebackers that you stated earlier. It's just one of those games I kind of want to stay away from. I'm not a fan of anybody DFS-wise in this game at all, but the Buccaneers defense, because Riddler, he has shown that he will give it up. So I do like them for the 4,000 streaming-wise on FanDuel.
All right, Ryan, you got Pittsburgh going up against the Los Angeles Rams. This is a 44.5-point over under, and Pittsburgh is getting 3 points. Who do you like in this one?
We'll take the Rams. Even though it's not the Bonnet Rams defense of old, I just don't trust Kenny Pickett at all. Like you said, if the receivers were on a different team, if you can take Kenny Pickett up and put Justin Herbert there, we may be talking about George Pickens like a tier below like Jefferson or Chase or any of them guys like that. Yeah, and the running game I haven't trust at all. What I do trust, if I could start somebody in fantasy, it'd be Mike Tomlin. Can't do that. So I'm not starting any of those guys. If you have Pittsburgh defense, I guess you can, I don't know if you want to play that, if you want to look for the sack aspect or so. But for the Rams, I'm definitely playing Cooper Kupp. I'm staying away from the running back situation. And Matthew Stafford, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, you definitely starting Matthew Stafford. I may start Matthew Stafford anyway if it was a 1-quarterback league. So only people I would start from there is and Nakua, Kupp, and Stafford is who I would start for the Rams. Maybe Pittsburgh defense.
Real quick, I do like. I'm not sure how he should be fine to go, but the Rams also is another one of those teams that give a lot to the tight end. If you need a streaming tight end, I do like Pat Firemouth. Maybe I do like him this game as well. They haven't been giving him much. Yeah, they haven't been giving him much on the outside, but as far as the tight end wise, they have. So I do like Pat Firemouth in this game for the Steelers.
We got Arizona going up against Seattle. This is a 44.5-point over under, and Arizona is getting 7.5 points. I want to say that's probably the second highest spread that we have with New England taking the bacon as far as the highest is concerned. But what do we have with this matchup?
Who said Arizona and who?
Arizona versus Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Oh, man. This is funny, right? I love Kenneth Walker. We're going to talk about a guy I like Kenneth Walker. This Cardinals defense hasn't really been good. Kenneth Walker's been playing pretty well as of late. But Geno Smith, man, I think the glass slipper has came off. He looking like Geno from the Jets as of late.
Right.
Really haven't been seeing much from him. And that has also hurt, guys like Metcalf and Lockett, who numbers has been down this year. So until Geno shows me something, I'm not really a fan of him. I think he's a good streamer, going against this type of defense. But again, temper your expectations when it comes to that. On the other side of the ball, that running back room is also chopped up. We've seen Damian Williams get plenty of action last week. Ingram got some action. They got Demir and Cotto. So they really had a 3-headed not even a monster, just a 3-head,
right.
3 Stooges.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm saying,
3
like,
Stooges.
3 Stooges. Yeah, 3 Stooges was in the backfield. Hollywood and Ertz been getting a lot of targets, but they haven't really been translating the production. I mean, you see Ertz, he'll get 9, 10 targets and have 4 catches. So the percentages has been really low as far as catching the ball and the targets. So and also as far as Seattle, the Witherspoon, those guys been playing pretty good in the secondary. So I'm not a fan of anybody on the Cardinals side as far as offensively.
We got Green Bay going up against Denver. This is a 45-point over-under, and Denver is getting 1 point in this one. What you got on this one, Ron?
I'm gonna take, if I'm gambling, I'm taking Green Bay with the points. Russell Wilson and their offense, I'm just not trusting. It's a dumpster fire now. I know they played the Chiefs last week. He only had 95 passing yards, and even though the Chiefs defense is one of the better defenses on paper right now, there's no way you should throw 95 yards. Now, if it was against the 49ers, somebody like that who had like a vaunted pass rush and everything, yeah, I understand that. Nah, so I'm staying away from the Denver as far as on the gambling side. Fantasy side, just depends on, like, I want to play Javonte Williams, but then McLaughlin is there. Then you say P. Ryan actually came back, so I'm gonna definitely stay away from that. I love Aaron Jones this week though. If he's healthy, I love Aaron Jones. Like as far as with Jacobs, Pacheco, and I got Aaron Jones as one of those guys who I think can actually do something this week. I know Pacheco didn't explode last week, but I kind of take division games as a little bit different than any other game. On paper, outside of the Chargers, the Broncos, if you're looking for a get-right fantasy game, those are the two defenses you're looking for sure. So Aaron Jones is my definite start for this week.
Real quick, I want to add that Aaron Jones may be one of those guys that also low owned. So, if he does pop, you can probably jump to the top. But it's the Packers in general, man. I like Jordan Love this week. I think this may be one of those Watson weeks where he may pop. He finally may get it. He's a couple weeks removed from that hamstring, and this may be one of those games that he pop off and give you something. And you said it earlier, man. Musgrave playing against the worst team against the tight end, so I do like Musgrave as well.
Couple more matchups here. We got the Chargers going up against Kansas City. I'm gonna toss this one back your way, Ron. You got 48-point over under. You got 5.5 points going to the Chargers. I'm actually surprised the spread isn't even a little bit bigger than that, but this is a divisional game, if I'm not mistaken. So they kind of know each other pretty well. The game started as a 52-point over under, and it's going down a little bit. I guess people were kind of going heavy on the under at 52, and they had to lower it a little bit so you can get some money on the other side there. But what do you like? What do you don't like as far as LA versus Kansas City is concerned?
As far as the spread wise, I stay away from it. It's a 5.5. They give me 5.5. I might actually bet with the Chargers because they always play tough, and until they don't, I just got to go with what the history says. One big thing that I would highlight with that is that Mike Williams is usually the guy that usually gives us problems. With him not there, that may give the defense it definitely gives the defense a little easier road. But I think if you have Justin Herbert, you start him. I think if you have Eckler, you start him. You have Keenan Allen, you start him. For the simple fact that if we are up, they have to throw. We're pretty decent. And Eckler, we're better against the pass than we are against the run. So you can run against us easier than can you pass. Definitely on the Kansas City side, definitely starting Pat, definitely starting Kelsey. If you want to try a streamer and Rashid Rice, you can. But my three definite starts from there is Pacheco. Like I said, he's one of my favorite running backs of the week. You always starting Kelsey. I don't care if he's playing against the Pro Bowl. You NFC or you starting him, and Pat Mahomes. So I'll stay away from the spread because we always play tough. If you do go with it, I would ironically bet with the Chargers. I think they dropped the total points for a reason because I think they kind of factor in that it's going to be a division game too, and it may be closer than what people think it is.
We got Miami going up against Philly.
I got a quick question.
What you got, man?
People want to know, like, in that game, you see Pat Mahomes, I think he's like 9,200, and you got Kelsey that's maybe 8,700 on a FanDuel. Do you advise people to invest that much of their salary into those type of players, those two players, and building the lineup?
I would say yes because of the defense strategy. And I think the defense that they're playing against. And also, if you look at Kelsey's history against the Chargers, also too, he has success against them. Even when they put Derwin James or whatever on him, he does have success on them. And this week you can get like I said, if you want to take a flyer on a low running back, like you just mentioned earlier, Evans is like 4,800. So you may spend a lot at quarterback and tight end, but if you get a 4,800 starting running back, you kind of absorb some of the blow. So I would start him in fantasy and DFS. I think they're worth the money for it.
Miami going up against Philly. This is a 51.5 point over under. And Miami is actually getting the points in this matchup. I think this is going to be just a good game in general. It's going to be the Sunday night game. I kind of feel like it's a start your studs type of a situation. There really isn't anyone that I'm afraid to start based on the fact that Miami's defense hasn't been all that great. So as far as the Philly side of the ball is concerned, I like Swift, I like Hurts, I like AJ. If Smith is healthy and there aren't any setbacks as far as that hamstring is concerned, I think he can kind of be a sneaky play. On the Miami side, obviously you're starting Tyreek. I like Waddle in this one. Most start. And if Wilson goes, he may get a little bit of run this week too. But this is a start your studs type of a game for me. I wouldn't start either one of the defenses. Again, this is one of the highest over-unders of the week, the second highest, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of in the over-under and the spread hasn't changed at all from when it was initially set to today. So that kind of lets me know that Vegas is just like, hey, this is a 50-50 type of a deal here. It's been played in Philly. Normally you would get 3 points. You'd be -3 just because you're at home. So the fact that it's only 2.5 actually means that Vegas is kind of tilting towards Miami. So I just think this is going to be an overall great game for NFL and for fantasy. Last game, Vander.
Hey, real quick,
Before you go on that,
Go ahead.
Is Darius Slay out this game?
I don't know. I know he was hampered last week, but I'm not sure if he's playing this week or not.
If Darius Slay is out, man, it's a 200-yard game for Tyreek Hill.
maybe
If he is, 150-yard game.
This may be a 300-yard. I'm serious. This may be a 300-yard game because we've seen this dude get 200 yards on a quarter before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this could be a 300-yard game, man. If they don't have even Darius Slay out there, but if he's not out there,
it definitely just
If Slay is out there, I like Waddle's prognosis a little bit better because I think they'll go to him a few more times. But yeah, I think this is going to be. I think the game is going to go over, and it's going to be a lot of fantasy points. It's going to be a lot of people that are excited and disappointed based on how Sunday night game ends, because it's going to make or break the week for a lot of fantasy owners. By the time this game is over.
Before you go, I got two questions with that too. One thing is crazy, just to throw out there, is that Tyreek is like 160 yards from 1,000 after like 6 games. That's crazy. But secondly, I know Jalen Ramsey window was open today. I didn't know that. I didn't get enough time to see what his extent of his practice was. But if he is activated, does that temper? Okay, yeah. So if he is activated and plays, does that temper your expectation for any of the Eagles wide receivers?
Not week 1. Next week after, Miami, man, they got everything they need at that point. For Ramsey to be on your number 2 wide receiver, Xavier Howard on your number 1, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. But this week, I don't think he'll have his sea legs under him. First game back. San Fran going up against Minnesota, 44-point over under, and San Fran is giving up 6.5 points to Minnesota. What you got? What you got for me, Vander?
I mean, I like the Niners for the points. This is going to be a get back game, for sure.
Yep.
I'm still, I still want to see if McCaffrey's going to play, which it seemed like he will play, but also if he doesn't play, Mason, what I'm saying? He could be a guy Jordan Mason could be a guy that you can stream as well against his defense. But with no Justin Jefferson, I don't know what we talking about here, man. I think this is going to be one of them games where the 49ers going to go back, to people who what were they saying before last week's game. They were saying about him. So I think it's going to be a knockout. You know what I'm saying? Everything should be clicking. Minnesota back in horrible. I love Brandon Ayuk this week. We haven't really been seeing much from him as of late, but I think he's going to get back to what he looked like the first couple weeks of the season. So I think he'll be.
Is Debo good? Do you know whether or not?
I think Debo's going to be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Debo's going to be fine. Even Trent Williams, a lot of them guys, they're saying they all looking to probably play Monday, but it's so you got to wait till Monday. That's the one thing about it. So I guess if you are a McCaffrey owner, hopefully you have Mason or Mitchell, who probably also be activated. But I like Mason more than like Mitchell going into this game. But I think the Niners are going to just blow these dudes out. So.
And just to piggyback one thing off that too. If we remember a couple of weeks ago, Debo injured his shoulder on Thursday night football. Came back in the game, he finished the game, but the very next game, he only got two. He didn't get any targets, got 2 jet sweeps. So being the fact that he left this game, when they bring him back, even if he's not 100%, like you said, maybe a big IU game because they may not want to put him in harm's way like that too much also. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind also. If you have Debo, watch out. He may be a pretty decoy, like T. Higgins was this week coming off of an injury. So just make sure you prepare for that also.
And that pretty much wraps it up for us for this week. We'll be back to you on next week to discuss what's happening with week 8. But for tonight, we out.
Appreciate y'all guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. All right.